Hey everyone, my name is Vince Gellman, and it's great to be here with you out in the slushy snow. It is cold, but I feel called to be here. My apartment's a little noisy, and I thought I'd make a video outside today. Something that I want to emphasize in this video is how the dark forces ruling this planet mirror us, mirror humanity. They're not just troublemakers, but they also serve a purpose of being powerful reflectors. They are showing everyone what exists within them that is dark. They're showing everyone their inner tyrant. They are tyrants. They're very dramatic, amplified, exaggerated, brutal tyrants. But within each of us, we have a tyrant. One example of this, to just jump right into it, one example is that we have an inner censor. We have a voice in us that tells us all the reasons why we should not speak our truth, why we should not ask for what we need, why we should not ask for what we want, why we should not set boundaries, why we should not say no, why we should not stand out and shine. We have a voice in us that censors us, that tells us, don't be too big, don't be too bright, don't be too amazing. That's their business, the dark forces. They censor us. They don't want us to become empowered. They want us to be disempowered. And one way they do that is by censoring us, by censoring truth. It is the truth within us that liberates us. It's the truth that sets us free. It's our truth that has us shine our light, because truth is light, the light of truth. They don't want that, so they censor us. But they're mirroring the one inside us, the tyrant within, that also censors. You see, that one inside of us doesn't want us to be in our truth. It is invested in lies. It runs an establishment. It runs a tyrannical business of making sure that we don't stand out in too much truth, and so it tells us lies. It tells us lies like we are not good enough, we are not worthy, we're not capable, we're not creative, we don't have a creative bone in our body, we're too much, we're not enough. Being powerful is unsafe. And so we have this tyrant, this inner censor that is very invested in us playing small. And that's what the dark forces want. They want us to play small. They don't want us in our power. They don't want us in our truth. And so they're mirroring the tyrant within. That tyranny out there, at a very dramatic level, a very exaggerated level, that tyranny out there is mirroring the tyranny within. And so it is important to see that. We do need to point at them. We need to be aware of their games, their shenanigans. But they're also playing an age-old role. They're playing a role in this law of balance, in this law of mirroring that exists on this planet, that has gone on for a long time. In this law of balancing, in this law of mirroring, they reflect back the darkness within. They're like the collective ego. They represent the collective ego, mirroring back all our individual little egos, which are little in comparison to their egos. And we experience this with our partners. We are, in our relationships, in our intimate relationships especially, but also with friends or coworkers or bosses, we know that they mirror us. They mirror our shadows. They mirror our unprocessed stuff. They act as mirrors. We somehow attract the perfect mirror to us, who mirrors our pain, our wounds, our fears. And they act them out for us so that we can see them more clearly. They trigger us, consciously and not consciously, which makes the unconscious in us become more conscious. And that is what the dark forces do. They're master gaslighters. And they are triggering humanity. And in a way, what they're doing is doing what our partners do. They're making the unconscious become more conscious. If you see the insanity in the world right now, what you're seeing is people acting out and expressing the shadows. They're acting out their shadows, and the dark forces are in a way surfacing that through the gaslighting, through the games, just like our partners do with us. So it's not enough just to simply say the dark forces it's all about them and we need to call them out. We do, but it's not the whole picture. They are playing an age-old role of being powerful mirrors for the collective. They're showing us our own portion of darkness that we have within. And that is why the way that you transform this world is not by destroying the mirror, which is what most people want to do. Take down the mirror, destroy the mirror. No, you change you. And by changing you, you change the reflection. If you change you, you change the reflection. If you stand out in your light of truth, and more people stand out in their light of truth, and you shine that truth, then they will have less power. They have less power because it is your light of truth that sees their lies. And in your power and in your truth, you're less likely to hand yourself over to their lies and to hand your children over to those lies. I like wordplay, as some of you know, and a wordplay that I really love that came to me in meditation a while back was that the egoic self is its expertise, the false self within ourselves, the trickster. Its expertise is to be an expert tease. The expertise of this fella inside is to be an expert tease. It's a fantastic teaser. It makes us believe things that aren't true. It comes up with problems that are not true. It tells us that we offended this person and this person doesn't like us and that we need to deal with that problem over there that doesn't exist. We didn't offend that person. That person does like us, but it tells us that that person doesn't like us. So this teaser inside, this deceiver, gaslights, creates problems, leads us down the garden path unnecessarily so. It's a fantastic problem maker. It catastrophizes. It creates issues that don't exist. And what do the dark forces do? They do the same thing. They create problems. Their formula is called problem, reaction, solution. They create a problem, which has happened recently, hasn't it, at a global scale? They create a big problem. The reaction amongst the public is great fear. Oh my God. And then they come in, the dark forces, with the solution, and then billions of people accept this so-called solution. But they rely on the fear. They rely on the fear. This is why they like to use the word emergency. It's an emergency. Because by saying it's an emergency based in science, right? Science, quote. If there's an emergency, then that really gets the fear going, and now you're more likely to accept the fake solution. And the solution is there to impose greater control, to suffocate us even more. So what does our inner expertise do? It does the same thing. It catastrophizes, it comes up with problems. We get afraid. Oh my God, I've offended this person. Or, oh my God, I need to deal with this problem. So they create the problem. The little fella inside creates the problem. There's fear. There's concern. There's worry. And then we end up acting on that. Or the little fella inside, the ego, the false self, comes up with a solution. Well, maybe you need to go and apologize. And then you go and apologize, And your friend says, for what? You didn't do anything. Everything's good. There is no problem. But you see, your mind came up with a problem, and you got afraid, and it came up with the solution. And if you spend enough time on your own, as I have spent time on my own, you start to see how many problems your mind makes up that don't exist. I mean, my mind regularly tells me things like I left the freezer open and the keys are still in the door, and I left this on, or and then pretty much every single time it's not true. It's not true, but you see, the mind is addicted to problems. It needs to find problems. Problem, and that's how the dark forces work. They create problems. One after another, war after war, disaster after disaster, crisis after crisis, because that is what they do. They are an exaggerated, dramatic, amplified version of our individual egos. They are master problem makers, master deceivers, master gaslighters, masters at getting people to do things that are unnecessary, masters at getting people to say yes to solutions that are no solutions at all. They are master psychologists, they are master teasers, they are master social engineers. And if you pay attention to your egoic self, you'll realize that it is a damn good, it is a master as well. It knows you really well. It knows exactly what buttons to push. It knows how to deceive you, how to fool you. It knows your wounds. It knows how to fool you. It is a liar, and they are liars. It is good at social engineering you. It is good at making you accept solutions, your inner deceiver is. Solutions that do not need to be pursued at all. So they are mirroring the dark ones out there, the social engineering, the deceit, the lies that goes on within us. Their evil mirrors the dark games within us. They are playing the age-old role of mirror. So we transform this world by taking responsibility for our portion of darkness. This is a consistent message if you know my work. It's not enough to point at them. It's not enough to go after the mirror and tear it down. We know from history that if you go after despots and you take them down and you do not change the collective consciousness, then another despot resurfaces. You change things not by tearing down the mirror, but by changing you, and you change the reflection that way. You change the reflection. You take responsibility for your darkness. You take responsibility for your pain, your inner lies, your inner story, the story of illusion, the story of deceit that is within you, that is rooted in old wounding, in the programming that you took on. A lot of it coming from childhood. The stories that tell you again that you're not good enough, not worthy, that you're not capable, that you should not own your power, that you don't deserve wonderful things, that you shouldn't say no. We must take responsibility for our own inner tyranny. We must look at the tyranny within, right straight on, and say, you are a liar. You're a lie. I can't believe you anymore. I can't give my power away to you, inner tyrant. And when we do that, we're more empowered to not give our power away to the tyranny out there. We stop censoring ourselves. And the more we stop censoring ourselves, the less we're going to let them censor us. The more we see the games within, the more we're going to see the games out there. The more we see the lies within, the more we're going to see the lies out there. That is how you transform the world, not just through an outer orientation, but by an inner orientation as well. This is self-responsibility. They're playing a role. They are playing a role. They're mirroring it. So I invite you, as an exercise, this is something you can do. You can look at the way the Dark Ones act, and you can make a list of every single thing that they do, all the games they play, for example, that they censor, that they lie. Look at all the ways that they manipulate, they deceive. Look at all the things that they do. Excuse me, I'm burping a bit. And then pay very close attention to how your thought patterns flow day to day. Look very carefully and see where the mirror is, because you're going to find a mirror. You're going to see how you censor yourself. You're going to see how you deceive yourself. You're going to see how you keep yourself small. You're going to see how your mind creates problems, problems that don't exist. You're going to see how your mind creates problems, and how when it creates a problem or catastrophizes, there's a fear, and how your mind even comes up with solutions that are no solutions at all. Your inner tyrant is working off of the same formula that they work off, which is problem, reaction, solution. Your mind, look at your mind, pay close attention to how it creates problem after problem after problem. Pay close attention, and it is a real eye-opener to see that you have an inner tyrant. You have an inner tyrant. And that tyrant also projects onto children as well. We censor them. We stop them from burning bright. We stop them from being big, creative, wild, messy. We project that onto them. We do that with dogs. We expect dogs to act like well-behaved human beings, and we expect children to act like little adults. We project our tyranny onto them. This has been going on for a long time, far too long. This needs to stop. We over-control children, we over-control dogs, we take away their wildness, and what do the dark forces do? Their business is over-control, overpower. Well, we've been overpowering children, and we've been overpowering animals in general far too long. And we've been suppressing our own true power, our own light of truth. People are afraid of their power. And so they give their power away to other people. And they let them have the power. We are giving our power away to tyranny inside and out. And that needs to stop. And so truth is terrifying, because truth is power. The light of truth is power. We are afraid of the light of truth because something must end when we bring in truth. And what ends ultimately is the lie and the liar. When we take truth to heart, when we see through the lens of truth, when we see the tyranny within from the lens of truth, the game of lies ends within us. I see you, inner tyrant. I see the games you're up to. I see the problem, reaction, solution. I see how you're telling me I'm unworthy and that I don't deserve to stand up for myself and I don't deserve to say no. I see you. I shine truth on you. I shine the light of truth on you. There's an ending that takes place, and we want that on some level, and we're terrified of it on another level, because something must end, and our greatest fear, everyone, beyond all other fears, is death. We lose ourselves. We lose the false self that has been inured and conditioned by the false world. That illusory false self dissolves. It dies when we shine the light of truth on it. We stop giving ourselves over to that false tyrannical self. And the more we do that, the less we will give our power away to them, and the more we will allow our children and our animals to be incredibly powerful, radiant beings in their truth. We will allow children to be wild. We will allow dogs to be wild. We will stop over-refereeing them. We will let them be rough and tumble. We will stop expecting dogs to behave like human beings and children to behave like little adults. Boy, do I spend a lot of time, in terms of dogs, seeing their owners. We should stop saying owners. I see so many people with dogs expecting them to behave like well-behaved human beings. Well, that is a version of what the dark forces do with us. Not the same level, but it is control, it is suppression. It's taking away our ability to be free, ourselves, natural, wild, untamed, undomesticated. So this is our collective responsibility, is to come to our hearts, because that is where truth lives. Truth is in the hearts. Come home to our hearts. Look very closely within. Look very closely. And from that place of truth, ask ourselves, is it true that I am not worthy? Is it true that I'm a sinner? Religious indoctrination. Is it true that I'm a sinner? Is it true that I'm not good enough? Is it true that I don't deserve to speak up? Is it true that I have nothing to say, that I don't have a creative bone in my body? Is it true that I'm not lovable? Is it true that I'm not deserving? Is it true that I'm not loving? Is it true that I'm not innately a good person with a good heart? Because you are. You are loving, you are worthy, you are good enough, you are innately good. They don't want you to believe that. And the conditioned false self is invested in us not being fully who we are, because it holds supremacy in our consciousness that way. Because it is built on lies. That out there is built on lies. This matrix is built on lies. And the more people wake up to the truth of who they are as brilliant, beautiful, good, loving, caring, abundant, creative souls, the more people wake up to that, the system dissolves. The system collapses, because the system only stays together. It only has power to control, to oppress, to deceive, if we buy into the illusions within ourselves that we've been taught to believe by our parents, by the church, by the education system, by the media, through Hollywood. So we are the agents of change. We are the agents of change. And so this is my invitation to all of you, is to be very aware, very acutely aware. Use your self-awareness, use your inner observer, and pay close attention to the patterns of tyranny within yourself that are out there, the patterns of control, the patterns of lie, the patterns of censorship, the patterns of trying to keep you small, disempowered, settling for so little. That's what they want. They want us to settle for so little, to be little and to settle for little. Notice where you have a self within you, a false self that wants you to settle for so little. Because when we settle for so little, what we do is we then condition our children to settle for so little. And it's time we realize that we are, by the nature of our soul as being made in the perfect image and likeness of God, we are infinitely abundant. Settling for so little is the complete opposite of who we are, in our power, in our truth, in our light. So that is my, not homework, my home play assignment for you. Play with it, enjoy it, explore, take notes, journal, pay close attention, watch the game inside. Problem, reaction, solution. And as you do that, you will come home to your heart. You'll come home to the truth you are. You'll come home to the powerful soul you are. And we transform the world one person at a time. So thank you, everyone. My name's Vince Gelman. I'm getting cold. I'm going to go. Please like, share, subscribe, click notifications, and I hope this video was helpful to you. And take good care. And I'm going to click stop now. Bye.